Have you ever stopped to wonder how many opportunities you've missed by dismissing small talk as pointless chatter? The truth might shock you. In a world obsessed with meaningful connections, most people overlook the very first step that leads there. The casual, seemingly trivial conversation at a bus stop, in a waiting room, or right before a meeting starts. Ironically, those fleeting moments can open doors you never even knew existed. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why small talk is far from meaningless, and how one overlooked trick could transform every casual interaction into something unforgettable. Small talk has a terrible reputation. It's often portrayed as the necessary evil before you can delve into deeper topics. You've probably heard people groan about having to discuss the weather or talk about weekend plans with strangers. But here's the real twist. Every deep connection you've ever made started with some variation of that shallow conversation. Even the best friend you trust with your darkest secrets began as a stranger you shared polite smiles and brief words with. That's the paradox. Most of us crave profound connections, yet we scorn the very tool that initiates them. Think about your daily interactions. A short exchange with the barista about a new coffee roast might lead to discovering a local event you wouldn't have known about otherwise. A quick hello and a comment on someone's t-shirt design could spark a conversation that lands you a new freelance project. Small talk isn't meaningless unless you make it meaningless. Transition, but if these quick chats are so potent, why do they still get such a bad rap? Maybe the problem isn't the conversation itself, it's how we handle it. Enter the concept of active observation, a fancy term for something surprisingly simple. Instead of relying on scripted pickup lines or memorized icebreakers, you focus on what's right in front of you and genuinely take notice. How does the other person carry themselves? What's unique about their outfit, expression, or even the notebook they're holding? By tuning into these details, you stop treating the other person like a background extra in your personal movie and start seeing them as an actual human being with their own story. Here's the kicker. People sense when you're truly paying attention. Ask any dedicated listener, and they'll tell you how stunned people get when they realize someone is genuinely curious about their day. This sense of being seen can warm up the coldest stranger, and it's not about flattery or manipulation, it's about genuine interest. Transition. Of course, the moment we talk about reading someone's details, rumors pop up that small talk is just a sneaky tactic for social climbing. Could there be a darker side to these everyday chats? Some argue that small talk is nothing more than a shallow performance. A game people play to climb the social ladder or pass the time without actually forming real bonds. Accusations have surfaced online claiming that extroverts only use small talk to collect people, while introverts use it to avoid deeper engagement. The conversation can get heated, with some social media threads labeling small talk as an outdated ritual that doesn't belong in a modern, transparent world. And it's not just anonymous commenters fueling the speculation. A few pop psychology gurus have built entire careers criticizing small talk as manipulative. They claim that focusing on subtle details, like clothing brands or personal stories, lets you read people's vulnerabilities. This does happen in certain cases, but that's not an inherent flaw of small talk itself. It's a flaw in how some individuals misuse it. Transition. Despite the debate, there's one undeniable fact. Small talk can spark monumental change if used with genuine intent. It's time to look at some real-life stories that might just convince you to start talking. Picture this. A young entrepreneur strikes up a conversation with a stranger in a hotel lobby. The topic? A humorous observation about the stranger's mismatched socks. That minute of banter led to an exchange of business cards, which later turned into a multi-million-dollar collaboration. Sounds too wild to be true, but it happens more often than you might think. Or consider the job seeker who chatted briefly with a hiring manager while waiting in line for coffee. A casual observation about the manager's unique laptop sticker sparked a conversation. Within days, the job seeker found themselves in an official interview, ultimately landing a dream role. These coincidental moments often hinge on noticing small details, like socks, stickers, or a witty graphic tee. Transition. Now that you know these quick interactions can have massive payoffs, you might wonder, how exactly do I approach someone without sounding awkward? Let's break it down. The beauty of active observation lies in its simplicity. Notice and comment. For example, if you're at a bookstore and someone's flipping through a novel with a quirky cover, you could say, "That cover art looks like it belongs in a museum." You're not asking for a full book report, you're just voicing a genuine, lighthearted observation. If they respond, great. If not, you move on without any harm done. The trick is to avoid turning your comment into an interrogation. Instead of, "What are you reading? Is it good? Why do you like it?" You're making an inviting statement that can open a door if they choose to walk through it. You can also use environment-based comments. I always wonder if they keep it this cold in here to stop us from lingering too long, or, that playlist they've got going sounds like a 90s throwback. Observing, commenting, and letting the conversation happen naturally is the essence of active observation. Transition. But sometimes people clam up or even look annoyed. What do you do then? Rejection is a possibility in any social setting. Not everyone will be in the mood to chat. They might be in a rush, having a bad day, or simply uninterested. The important thing is not to take it personally. You offered a friendly gesture. If they're not reciprocating, that's entirely up to them. Move on gracefully and continue with your day. Here's where authenticity truly matters. If you're only making small talk because you heard it can land you a big break someday, people will smell the insincerity. Active observation requires genuine curiosity, even for a few moments. You don't have to become best friends. You just have to care about the person enough to see them as more than an obstacle in your path. If you're faking it, your body language, tone of voice, or forced smile might give you away. Transition. Once you understand this, a bigger question looms. How do you keep the conversation going in today's world where everyone's distracted by their phones? In an age where people can barely tear themselves away from their screens, small talk can feel like an uphill battle. Why make conversation with the stranger next to you when you can scroll through endless feeds on your phone? This digital escapism is one reason so many claim small talk is dying. But it's also a massive opportunity for you if you're courageous enough to look up from your own device. Think about remote work settings or online video calls. Even then, active observation remains useful. Maybe you notice someone's cat strolling across the background, or you spot an interesting painting hanging on the wall behind them. A quick comment like, "Is that a custom portrait behind you?" The colors really pop, can break the icy formality of virtual meetings. You don't have to be physically next to someone to practice noticing little details. You just need to be mindful about what's in front of you. Transition. But technology isn't the only challenge. Some people are so terrified of small talk they'd rather stay silent. How do you gently coax them out of that shell? When you sense that someone's guarded or shy, the last thing you want to do is bombard them with rapid-fire questions. Instead, start with a friendly acknowledgement that respects their space. A smile, a brief greeting, or a thoughtful comment on something in the environment can signal you're open to conversation without smothering them. Another strategy is to share a tiny piece of yourself first. You might say, "I always love coming here in the morning. The pastry smell kind of wakes me up before my coffee does." You've given a small glimpse of your own experience, which creates a comfortable space for them to join in if they'd like. It's much more inviting than an abrupt question like, "Why are you so quiet?" or "You come here often?" Transition. Ultimately, none of this sticks unless you piece it all together into a cohesive mindset. And once you do, the results can be life-changing. Small talk isn't superficial. It's the opening note in the symphony of human connection. Dismissing it as mere fluff is like judging a novel by its first sentence and never reading the rest. By practicing active observation, you transform casual banter into an opportunity for genuine engagement. No manipulation, no forced scripts, just real people noticing each other and sharing small but meaningful interactions. The power lies in that moment of seeing and being seen. Not every exchange will become a lifelong friendship or a lucrative business deal, but each one has the potential to be the start of something bigger. All it takes is a willingness to observe, a few well-chosen words, and the courage to stay open, even when the conversation doesn't immediately explode into fireworks. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow or even later today, step away from your phone for a moment. Look around and find one thing, just one, to comment on. It could be someone's unusual keychain, an interesting pin on their jacket, or even the mood lighting in a local cafe. Notice it, mention it, and see what happens. You might get a polite nod, or you might spark a surprising dialogue that changes your day. Small talk is the key you never knew you needed, quietly unlocking a world of untapped potential with every simple, genuine observation. Once you embrace it, every environment, office, coffee shop, sidewalk, becomes a stage where even the smallest exchange might lead to the most unexpected outcomes. The real question is, are you ready to see what lies on the other side of a quick hello?